Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be a little bit different, but I hope it goes over well because I want to do more things like this in the future. I know so far on my channel, I've mostly stuck to talking about retro video games, but I'm also an avid toy collector. So today, let's talk about one of my favorite toy lines from growing up, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Roll the intro. In 1988, I was 5 years old, and I spent most of my time watching cartoons and playing video games. What else would I have to do? So one Saturday morning, while I was watching early morning cartoons, I was about to see a commercial that would literally change my life and instill a passion inside me for a toy line that I still collect for today, over 30 years later.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, heroes in a half shell. Their master, the rat, and now these four green guys can really kick back.
The Shredder, sworn enemy of the Turtles.
It feels so good to be so bad.
With his henchmen, the dreaded foot soldiers, the mutants Bebop and Rocksteady.
What do I do with them? Destroy them!
All one turtle soup.
Ninja Turtles.
From Playmates.
Man, just seeing that makes me feel good inside, like a kid again. So today, I want to talk about and showcase some of my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles vintage collection. But first, a brief backstory on how the Turtles became a household name in the late 80s, and it's still running strong today. Back in 1984, two comic book artists named Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird were up late one night just sketching out different characters and brainstorming comic ideas. Eastman sketched out a picture of a mutant turtle that stood on its hind legs. Then he showed Laird, who tried to one-up Eastman by adding bandanas and giving them weapons. Soon, they started making a backstory for them, and it snowballed into them self-publishing a single-issue comic that told the story of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles against the evil Shredder. The comic was dark with violence and blood. When people got their hands on it, they loved it, and they sold out of the first print runs almost immediately. So a short time later, when they were approached about making a children's toy line and cartoon, they were encouraged to change the violence to make it more kid-friendly. So Peter and Kevin gave them all different color bandanas, and each their own unique weapons, and gave them names from Renaissance painters. The leader, Leonardo, had the katanas and wore the blue bandana. The Brainiac, Donatello, had the bow staff and wore the purple bandana. The hothead, Raphael, had the sais and wore the red bandana. And my personal favorite, the party animal, Michelangelo, who had the nunchucks and wore the orange bandana. It was a smart move giving them all different personalities because kids of all ages would be able to relate to one of the four turtles. So today, I want to talk about and showcase the 6 original good guys that were released in 1988. Splinter, April O'Neil, Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael. I have a separate video showcasing the 4 remaining bad guy figures from that year. Foot Soldier, Bebop, Rocksteady, and the almighty Shredder. So let's get started. Hey everybody. So I got a little table out here. I don't know how good that's going to look on camera. And I kind of just had the first 6 figures, so I figured I'd bring them out one at a time and kind of talk about them and give you some information on the first wave. 1988 was the first wave for the Playmates toy line for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was based on the cartoon instead of the comics. They were huge. You could never get these in store back in the day. They were extremely hard to find. They sold out almost instantly. And, you know, there's a couple different variants, and I'll talk about those. So let's get started. Here is the leader, Leonardo.
Like, what's the plan, Leonardo?
Well, we could cut to the left, or maybe to the right. Oh, I can't decide.
I never was a huge fan of Leonardo. I just felt like he was too timid. He was a leader, but he was just, I don't know, he was never confrontational, and he was the same way in the movies. So I didn't really like the character very much, but I liked the color. I loved blue. So this is Leonardo. This is mint on card. That means that it's still mint and it's still on the card, which is the card back. This one is unpunched, and in the collecting toy world, that means that it still has the tab on it. It's never been, like back in the day, they would put these on these little hooks on the shelf. Well, this one's never been, it's never been on a shelf. Like somebody had this in their personal collection and literally they just took it out of a box. Every one of my Ninja Turtles, from all of them, are unpunched. I like that better. That, to me, it's just more pure. But you know, I remember going to the store and trying to find these on the pegs back in the late 80s and even early 90s, and they were just so hard to find. Especially the bad guys, Bebop and Rocksteady, you couldn't find them. Nowadays, the bad guys are a lot more pricier than the Ninja Turtles from these first couple years. And I don't know if that's just because more people bought the Turtles, probably, but they're a little more sought after. So yeah, Leonardo, he didn't have any variants. A couple of these have card back variants or figure variants, and I'll talk about those. There you go. And here's the back. They call them 10 backs, and that's because the original figures, there were 10 of them. 6 good guys and 4 bad guys. You used to be able to cut these things called pizza points, and you could send these in, and you could get stuff with them. I just remember looking at these card backs when I was young, man, and I just loved it. It tells the story on how they kind of came to be, and there's a file card down here that you can clip out and collect, and it just talks about, you know, his weapons, where he was born, his age. He's 16 years old and 155 pounds. His shell, bulletproof and shock resistant. I don't know, I just love these little things, and it has like a little bio about him. He's extremely well balanced, which makes him very skillful when wielding his ever-flashing katana blades. You know, I just loved looking at these when I was a kid because I couldn't buy that many. I had to look at a lot of these instead of actually acquiring them. So when I got older, that was the first thing I wanted to do, was get everything that I, you know, didn't have when I was a kid. So that's Leonardo. Next, we'll move on to the Brainiac, Donatello.
Like, what's it do?
It's a super fast pizza maker. It cuts cooking time in half.
It is most impressive, Donatello. How does it work?
I was hoping you'd ask that, Sensei. Watch.
I really liked the colors. Purple is my favorite color, and I loved the color of Donatello. He was, in the cartoon, he was super brainy. He always came up with the inventions, and just, I don't know, I just really liked him. He's pretty much the same card back. They're all pretty much similar, but they have, I love the bright green on these, that it just popped when you were on the shelf, man. Or on the pegs. I remember just seeing these things, and I'm like, it just looked awesome. So this is Donatello. They all have a different shade of green, the Turtles do. So they have the pretty much same weaponry that they come with, except for their actual main weapon. And Donatello had the bow staff, so his is going to be different. But I just like the artwork, man. Like, I don't know, it's just something about these things I've always loved. And the back is pretty much the same thing, but it still has the different file card and such. But this is Donatello. I love Donatello in the movie because Corey Feldman did his voice, and I don't know, it was awesome because I was a huge Corey Feldman fan. That's Donatello. Next, we'll move on to the hothead.
I'll never talk.
You'd better, or else I'm gonna get sarcastic.
He's in an old mansion on Green Street near 10th. He's got a master control for all the mousers there.
Raphael is a lot of people's favorite Ninja Turtle, and I can see why. He's just a badass, man. He doesn't take crap from anybody. I really like Raphael. He has the brightest green out of them all. It's almost like not a lime green, but I don't know. I just really liked them. Their mouths are all different, so like his mouth shows both sides of the teeth, which I really liked. And you know, it's standard fare. You know, it looks just like the other ones that I've shown. But the back has the original 10 and the different file card. I don't know, I always liked Raphael, and these are pretty hard to find just in good shape still, so I'm very honored to have these. I really take care of them, and I'm glad that I kind of started collecting before the huge hike in price on these things because of the Toys That Made Us episode. Man, prices went through the roof when that episode came out, so I'm glad I had a lot of these beforehand. And my favorite, without a doubt, when you're a kid and you just watched Ninja Turtles, you loved Michelangelo.
Whoa, these boots are really righteous. Too bad they don't come in green. Ouch!
Something about him was just, man, he was a party animal. He was the youngest. He had the coolest weapons. They all had cool weapons, but the nunchucks, I was a huge ninja fan. So the nunchucks were just, they blew my mind when I was a kid. I always thought they were the coolest weapon to have, which is weird because in the cartoon, he doesn't really use them too much. If you notice, he uses the almost like a grappling hook thing because they had people complaining. People would write in saying, they would complain about the show and things like that. So I really like Michelangelo. There's another variant of Michelangelo, and see, I don't know if you can tell, but his nunchucks just have a straight in between the part where you hold them. Well, they actually have a variant where he has braided nunchucks, and those are extremely hard to find and very pricey if you have one mint on card and unpunched still. But I have the more common variant, and that's fine. I could get all soft heads and stuff, but when I was a kid, I didn't know about it, and I didn't really care. I remember having a couple that were soft heads, but I didn't really notice, honestly, when they went to hard head. I kind of just played with them anyway. So this is my Michelangelo. The back, pretty standard, looks like the rest. I really like just looking at these I have these hanging up normally, so I look at these every now and then, and I just think it just takes me back to, Toys R Us or KB Toys, where I would go and just see these on the pegs, and I was just wishing I had one, wishing I had the money. They were $3.50 back then, so that was a ton of money to a little kid. So that's Michelangelo. And now you get to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles' best friend, April ONeil.
Bingo, fellas! I found the repair truck, corner of 4th Street in Maine. I'm gonna check it out.
April, don't! Wait!
Okay, I won't wait.
Not many people bought her, I guess. I mean, most kids that were into Ninja Turtles liked the Turtles. So finding her, she's a little pricier than most. She has 3 different variants of her jumpsuit. Here's her, I have the blue jumpsuit. So it actually has, I don't know if you can see that, but it has a little blue stripe down it, and she has the blue eyes. Well, there's 2 other variants for her. There's a no stripe version where it's just a yellow jumpsuit, and then there's a press variant which said press on her outfit because she worked for the news. So there's 3 different variants of hers. The other 2 are pretty sought after, and like I said, I don't have the rare one, but I have the normal one, and the prices for these things are just, they've skyrocketed. So even getting the normal ones, it's going to run you a little bit, and that's unfortunate. So I can't really focus on getting the variants. Trust me, I'd love to have them, but I can't afford things like that. I mean, some of these variants are $400 or $500 a piece. I bought this when it was around $50-$60. I keep them in these little protector shells, just so they don't get damaged on the corners and things like that. But that's April ONeil. So yeah, she's on the back just like the rest. Normal card. Yeah, that's April ONeil. And last, we'll talk about the Ninja Turtles' mentor, their sensei, Master Splinter.
Let's go!
I am coming with you.
But Master Splinter!
You are injured. Perhaps I can be of some assistance if it comes to an unfriendly encounter.
Now, Master Splinter is kind of weird. He has I love the little cape because it actually came with a cloth. It wasn't like plastic, or you can actually remove this cape and his belt, which is awesome. And he came with the bow and arrow, which was if you watch the cartoon, you'll see why. I don't know, I just really like this figure, and he was the last good guy for the year. So in 1988, there were 6 good guys and 4 bad guys. I still got the 4 bad guys on my wall, and that's what I'll talk about next episode. So just an overview, you know, finding these without discolored bubbles, bent up card backs, punched, unpunched, you know, finding these things are tough nowadays. And I feel good that I have these, and I'm glad that I actually got them when I did. They're not worth a ton of money, but if you try to pick up the first 1988 set, I mean, you're gonna spend a nice chunk of money, especially after that episode. I have tons more turtle stuff around in the room, and I like to show that off. So in the next episode, I'll talk about the 4 bad guys: Bebop, Rocksteady, Foot Soldier, and Shredder, and that'll cover 1988. I'd like to get into 1989 and 1990 also, but there's a lot more figures in those years and a lot more variants to talk about. As for these, I love them, man. Something about having these and looking at them just takes me back to when I was a young kid. And I'm just so blessed to be able to pick these up now and just have them for my collection. You know, I really like them. Well, that's the first 6 figures from the 1988 original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line. I went through a ton of work searching and collecting these over the years. You don't find many that are unpunched and mint on card still. So if you guys enjoy the video, please let me know, because it's a little different than what I normally do on the channel, but I really want to make more episodes of this. I have many other carded figures from the line that I can showcase. So please, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, you know what's coming. Keep it retro. This was edited in at the last minute, so I wanted to put it at the end of this episode. I found out some bad news today. My coworker Brandon, that I've worked with for a long time, was diagnosed with cancer 12 months ago. And unfortunately, today he lost his battle. But one thing he told me, if I could learn anything from his experience, was to get checked for cancer by your doctors. Have a cancer screening. Brandon was in his early 40s. He told me that he wishes he would have checked sooner. Brandon loved the NES. When I would work with him, we would talk about video games we played all the time back in the day. He even bought an NES Classic, and so I could hack it for him, so I could put his 2 favorite games on it: Super Tecmo Bowl and Baseball Stars. I'm going to miss you, Brandon. I'll never forget you, buddy. Until we meet again, rest in peace, my friend.